Righty, everybody. I wanted to stop in with another video just to show everybody something I've been looking at here this morning. I'm kind of getting ready for next week, and I was looking at oil. Um, and I usually start with the 4 hour and take a look to see what we've got. Well, um, what we've got is a 4 hour inverted fair value gap that we retested here. Um, so normally, I would be looking for a long, uh, somewhere out of here. Um, but we also have a bearish fair value gap that was just made right here that we could come back and retest to go lower, right? Uh, so what do we do with this? And I'm real interested to be looking at this at the open on Sunday at 6 p.m. Um, for the Asian session. And there's a reason why. Uh, if I go down to 1 hour, 15 minutes, where did they go? Tell me they all left. Let's just leave this on the 4 hour. Let's go over here and open up this chart because this is probably where I drew a bomb. I'll take a look at the 4 hour. Da, 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 da. Yeah, okay. Uh, I have these trend lines drawn. Now, do I typically use trend lines? No, not really. But this is kind of a special situation where I want a little bit extra confluence on choosing a direction here, because we are compressing price in between these 4 hour trend lines, right? Um, so, you know, what are we doing on the 15? Uh, for compressing price, I want to take a quick look at the 15 and see what we're doing there. And actually, I want to move this one to right here. Then down. Okay. So we have two touches on the 15-minute downward trend line. Uh, Now, the reason the colors are inverted is because if we break this, I want to go long. If we break this, I want to go short, right? Uh, on the upwards trend line for the 15-minute, oh, that's my fib. This, what is that? It's not, oh, that's the fib. Okay. It's locked in place. I just want to kind of get this in the right spot. Go. Um, Here we actually have, you know, two touches compared to one, the upward trend line. What I'm looking at is a market maker model on the 15-minute that shows me a sweep of the highs and moving into sell side of the market maker model. Now we've come down to this consolidation, and that might be the end because we've retested this inverse fair value gap on the 4 hour that I was talking about. Um, so again, we're still compressing price, but we are getting into the very tight area. So I want to move from the 15-minute to the 1 minute or 5 minute, see what's going on there. Okay, so on the 5 minute, we made this big displacement, and what I can look at there is a fib to see, where are we at? We're looking on this kind of a displacement. I'm looking to enter short at 6.2, go further down, right? Well, we have already hit the 6.2, and we're now in 5 minute consolidation at the end of Friday. Um, So this is where I get very interested in looking at this trade uh, to go short. I wish I had seen it, uh, you know, at the beginning of Friday in the morning. I would have taken that trade there on CL uh, and taken profits somewhere in here. Uh, But what I see on the 5 minute chart is a little confusing, right? Uh, because we had this bullish fair value gap that we inverted. Well, we came down and we almost immediately went up and inverted this bear fair value gap that we made, and didn't make any fair value gaps going up, came back down, made some more bearish fair value gaps, well, right here, um, that we ended up inverting again to the upside. Um, we made some bullish fair value gaps right here that immediately inverted again. So none of these inverted or regular or inverted fair value gaps are holding. They're all getting broken. Um, so, which tells me I don't know which way this trade is going to go, right? But I do know that we've had our big displacement and we've come back to the 6-2 of that displacement. And typically I'm looking for this price action to go lower. Well, with the fair value gaps not telling me what's happening with any certainty throughout Friday, this is where I've started putting on the trend lines because I want to see if a trend line can tell me which way we're going to go. Um, and on the 5 minute, we have one touch to the upside, but we have three touches now to the downside, and it should actually be red. And at the very end of the day, we broke below, but we didn't close below this trend line. Okay. So I am really interested right now uh, on the Sunday Open to see what happens. And if I even go further down to the 1 minute, uh, you can see that we broke this trend line with a fair value gap, right? Uh, and we have that fair value gap right here, bearish fair value gap. Okay. So what I want to see on the open um, is does this fair value gap hold? We have not inverted this one yet, this bullish fair value gap. We did invert this bullish fair value gap. Okay. But remember, all the fair value gaps back in here were not being respected. They're just getting broken back and forth. So what I'm looking for is a fair value gap to finally be respected and not broken. So on the Sunday Open, I'm going to be on this 1 minute chart and I'm going to be watching. Um, do we immediately gap down um, from here? If we do, I'm looking to take this short because on the short, if we go back to the 15 minute, I have my fib drawn here uh, and our target is down here at 73.88. Okay. Um, so if I can get into a short position up here around 75.40, 75.30 area, then I've got a pretty good trade if we get down here by the end of the day. Uh, so again, you know, uh, just have to wait and see what the open brings us this evening. But I am very interested in a crude oil trade if we can break and hold to the downside. Um, you know, even if the 5 minute uh, closes below, which means the 1 minute held that retest of this line and we're moving lower, even getting a trade down into this area uh, on the uptrend line would be a pretty decent trade. Okay. Uh, and this is the 15-minute chart. So we're talking, a few hours to get down here. Um, and that would be a very nice trade on its own. The only thing, as far as a long-term trade, I wouldn't know which way to go because if we look at the daily, uh, you know, we basically have, uh, we don't have any bullish fair value gaps uh, made in this up push, but we do have the inverted daily fair value gap right here that we pushed down into and rejected and closed above. So on a longer time frame, we broke external liquidity, we came back into internal liquidity, and I think for the longer term, we could be going to take out external liquidity again to go higher, right? Um, we'll just have to see if this structure shift holds. Um, we have not come down to the 6-2 of the daily displacement yet, and that's what I'm looking at. That's the reason I'm looking for a short to come back into this area. You'll see the 6-2 is at 73.85. Well, if I go back to the 15-minute uh, time frame, my target on this fib, which we've already hit the 6-2, is 73.88. Um, and the 6-2 on the daily pullback would be 73.85, just a touch below this, right? So I'm getting some confluence that this would be a very good trade. Uh, again, we can't hold overnight, but Friday uh, was when we hit the 6-2, and we could have at least taken that pullback down to here. But I think we should roll over and come down and hit this 73.88 because that is the 6-2 fib retracement on the daily uh, to come down and hit that fib retracement before going higher uh, from the daily inverted fair value gap retest. Okay. So uh, I am hopeful for a short that I can start in the opening of the Asian session. That will be pretty much an all-day hold uh, to get down to this level. We may even get there, you know, uh, throughout Asia and London. I don't know, and then push up during New York. But we'll just have to watch it. But that's what I'm looking for. I just uh, kind of got the tinglies when I started looking at the CL chart and seeing all of this confluence with levels. And then when I threw the fibs on or the trend lines on, it just got me a little bit more interested, gave me a little bit more confluence, especially if, we can hold this trend line right here to the downside. Now that we've broken through it and we retested it right at the end of the day on Friday, I'm gonna love to see where we open at, whether it be below or above that. Um, if it's above, if we gap up, I want to see the gap close and a continuation through that gap close, um, just to get back below this trend line. Or if we gap below, um, I'll go ahead and take the trade. If I see that we're going to close the gap, maybe I'll probably add to the trade when we close the gap. As long as we don't break back above this trend line, I think we're good. Um, if we look at the 5 minute, uh, we don't have any fair value gaps being made down through here. So We may push back up to grab some liquidity before coming back down and breaking that trend line. I don't know. We'll just have to see. Um, so yeah, just wanted to come in and throw that up on CL so everybody could see it. Uh, take take a look at it on this evening when the market opens, uh, and see if you want to take a trade on CL. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. We'll see you later this evening or tomorrow morning for the New York session.